You may fear that if others found out about it, they would think you were crazy or gone off the deep end somewhere. But I encourage you to find someone or some group with whom you feel safe enough to share, to tell your story, stories of spiritual experience are often inspiring to others and help build the community of God's people. So let us not be afraid to share them. Now for the third item that emerges from the text, the nature of love. The nature of a love we can believe in. Now, the love of Joseph for Mary, as we read it in the story, is not just a romantic love. Heartfelt, of course, but more than that. It is a disposition of his whole self. How are we to understand ourselves holistically? For centuries, especially since St. Augustine in the 4th century, the self has been believed to be three-dimensional: heart, mind, and will. Love that is fully human exhibits all three of these: heartfelt, caring; mindful, thoughtful; willful, deliberate. It makes commitments and keeps them. If any of these dimensions is missing, love is not yet fully human. In our own time, a fourth dimension to self and to love has often been lifted up. The self is not only heart, mind, and will, but also body. Selfhood is embodied, even as Steve talked with the children this morning, and love is embodied. A fully human love is acted out in the physical world, demonstrated in our physical existence by the ways we conduct ourselves. The New Testament models full human love after God's love for the world, God's love for us humans and for all creation. The love of God, especially as we see it embodied in Jesus, is described as agape in the Greek, self-giving love, love that pours itself out. This kind of love does not overwhelm us, however. It is a careful love, mindful of our needs, respectful of our personhood, and caring for the whole of creation. And so we sing, God so loved the world. St. Augustine spoke of this kind of love as diligence. Its opposite is not hate so much as negligence, indifference, or neglect. If you approach life's circumstances with diligence, with this kind of fully human love, then Augustine says, do not be afraid to carry out what you discern needs to be done. His summary statement is simply, love, that is, diligate, and do what you decide. Such an understanding of love challenges our self-examination in this Advent season, this season of preparation for God's new entry into our lives. Consider, what is the nature of love which we actually embody and act out in our lives and our relationships? Is it fully human, fully four-dimensional, well-balanced? Or is it the prevailing kind of love in our society, rather lopsided, with much greater attention to feeling and maybe to acting at the expense of either thinking or willing? Is it a shortfall in mindfulness or commitment? To what extent is our loving more self-serving than self-giving? Is ours a love worth believing in? You may have read in the Intelligencer and New Era this past week, a week ago yesterday, Terry Mattingly's column. I hesitate to use this, but I'm going to. Quoting Matthew Warren, a blogger for the National Catholic Register. It reads like a rant to me, but there probably is a measure of truth in it. Warren says, hearts have already long changed about marriage. We've already twisted marriage into a contracepted, childless, self-serving partnership of convenience that lasts only until one person gets bored. Now, I'm afraid I can't agree with that. But at the same time, is there a way in which our understanding of and acting of love often falls short? That is the question for us in this time. So now I invite you to take a time for prayerful reflection. I suggest 3 questions to guide your prayers. What kind of love do you most deeply believe in? With what kind of love do you relate to loved ones, to church, to world? And contemplate the Christ child. What kind of love do you see shining through the Christ child? So let us take a time for prayerful reflection and be prepared to conclude by singing stanzas 1 and 3 of the old Appalachian carol, What Wondrous Love Is This, number 200 in our hymnal.